So today I want to show you a bit of Trainingpeaks, how it works, what kind of metrics I look at to evaluate my training, to see where I'm going, to see where I'm at the moment. First of all, as you see, this is like the homepage. There are 3 metrics that you need to know, like, first of all, to make any sense of this. The first major one is training stress score, as you can see in this workout right here, which is a value of how much stress the workout is going to put on your body. And Trainingpeaks is going to use this metric to evaluate your current level of fitness. So it's going to give you a metric for how fit you are at the moment. For instance, for myself right now, I'm at 35, which is for me quite low. I have just started training for this season after so your fitness is a cumulative average of your training stress score for the last 42 days. And then you have the metric of fatigue, which is your average, the average of your training stress score per day for the last week. And then when you have your fitness and you subtract the fatigue, then you get your form. This is like the prime example of why you taper before a race. You want your fatigue to go down without lowering your fitness super much, so that your form is high. The higher the better, obviously. But during training your form is going to be low, obviously, because you're continuously pushing your fatigue and your fitness higher. And then you can go into the training calendar. I personally work with a coach. And for instance, this is like when I started my training earlier this season. Didn't do that well at first. Then I started to get in the loop again and everything started going well. Just doing some really low stress weeks at first, like 5 hours, 6 hours. And this week is like the first week that I'm getting decent volume at 8 hours, and it's going to be about 500 stress score. So training, but it's also Trainingpeaks is also really useful, obviously, when you're evaluating your workout. So if you're looking at, for instance, this week I had this workout, 2-minute intervals. Let's take it up again. We can see like the structure of the workout is like 2 minutes on, 1 minute of recovery. And then if we look at like the past week, we can see that I had a really similar workout, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. And if I want to compare these two, there are obviously a few things that I would compare. So obviously, like since this workout was 7 intervals, this week was 10, it's not the exact same, but I'm still going to be able to look at some developments. So first of all, we have like the heart rate. It's obviously really, since both of these workouts I worked at the exact same power, so the heart rate is going to be like a really good indicator of the physiological stress it took my body to create the power, basically. So if I first look at this, I can go into like the detailed analytics screen, and I can find some more interesting metrics here on the right. So what I first want to look at is like the EF, which is the efficiency factor. What this does is compare the internal physiological cost and weighs it against the output. So what's really interesting about us humans is that, say for instance you push 300 watts for an hour. You might think like that's going to cost your body 300 watts to produce 300 watts, but the thing is that we're really inefficient. And I think we have an efficiency of about like 25%. So in actuality, it's going to cost your body about like 1,200 watts, and the only power that's going to push out into the pedals is only going to be 300. So you can see like how working on your efficiency on the pedal, just improving that by 1%, getting 1% more output, is going to be like 12 watts or something in that region. So it's really powerful. And that's why a lot of workouts are oriented towards improving your efficiency, in contrast of just doing VO2 workouts every single day. So what's really interesting is to compare the efficiency factor of last week to the efficiency factor of this week. So what I want to do this week to just kind of check is like, first I mark the 7 intervals I'm interested in. I can see that the efficiency factor is 1.71. So it's going to weigh the heart rate No, it's going to have the power divided by heart rate. So it's 292. It's going to look at the normalized power, and it's going to weigh that against my heart rate of 171, and it's going to give you the result of 171. So if I look at it this week and my efficiency is higher, it's going to indicate a performance improvement in contrast to last week. But if it's lower, obviously it's either it could be because of a performance decline or a lot of other factors. I guess looking at 2 weeks is not going to paint a picture of like there's so many other metrics at play, like my fatigue of the days before, but I still like to look at this kind of stuff to get like a idea of my training, how my training is going. So if I go to this week and I mark the same intervals, I get 174. So it's 0.03 better efficiency this week than last week. And also it's interesting, I can, for instance, look at my heart rate. I can show that my heart rate peaked at 184 during the 7th interval this week. And last week it peaked at like 188, I'm fairly sure. If I recall correctly. I did this about like 330 watts or something. Yeah, you can see like 188 last week, and that's like about my maximum heart rate. So that's really interesting for sure. Like looking at your efficiency factor is really like the best metric to see how efficient you are and how much like it costs your body to produce that effort this week and compared to last week. The key to your training is going to be having structure like this. Just like having your weeks planned out in detail. Just look at this. I have all my workouts planned out. I know on Sunday I'm going to do 3 hours of cycling, so I'm going to be able to fuel correctly beforehand and make sure I have enough carbohydrates in my body, just so I don't start this workout feeling tired and exhausted, which is going to ruin everything.